The research ship Ocean Explorer moved slowly through the Atlantic waters. Dr. Emily Roberts stood on the deck, watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The cool morning breeze played with her brown hair as she took a sip of hot coffee from her thermos. Dr. Roberts. Mike Thompson's voice crackled through her radio. You need to see this right away. Emily hurried to the ship's main lab, where screens covered almost every wall. Mike sat at the central computer station, his fingers flying over the keyboard. His usual neat appearance was forgotten. His red hair stuck up in all directions, and his coffee cup sat empty beside him. What did you find? Emily asked, leaning over his shoulder to look at the main screen. The new sonar readings are unlike anything we've ever seen before, Mike said, pointing to a series of geometric shapes on the screen. Look at these patterns. They're too perfect to be natural formations. Emily's eyes widened as she studied the images. The sonar had mapped out what looked like massive squares and rectangles on the ocean floor, nearly 2 miles down. Some of the structures were bigger than football fields. Could it be another lost city? She wondered out loud. Like Atlantis. Mike shook his head. This is different. These structures don't match any known ancient human architecture. The angles are too precise, and look at the size of them. Dr. James Anderson, the team's other lead scientist, walked into the lab carrying his own coffee. His eyes immediately locked onto the strange images. Good Lord, he whispered. Please tell me those readings are accurate. Triple-check them myself, Mike said proudly. The new sonar system is working perfectly. Emily grabbed a marker and walked to the whiteboard. She started drawing out what they knew so far. Okay, let's think this through. We have multiple geometric structures at a depth of approximately 10,000 feet. The largest one is roughly 600 feet across. The angles appear to be perfect 90-degree corners. Don't forget the metal readings, Mike added. The sonar is picking up some kind of alloy down there. James adjusted his glasses and moved closer to the screens. We need to get the underwater drones down there. This could be the biggest discovery in marine archaeology history. Emily nodded, already planning their next steps. Mike, start preparing the deep-sea drones. James, I need you to help me document everything. We have to be extremely careful with this. The team worked non-stop for the next few hours. Other crew members came and went, each one stopping to stare at the mysterious images. The ship's captain, an old sailor named Bill Peters, watched from the doorway. In 30 years at sea, he said, shaking his head, I've never seen anything like this. By afternoon, they had 3 drones ready to go. Each one was equipped with powerful lights and high-definition cameras. Emily watched nervously as the first drone disappeared beneath the waves. Drone 1 starting descent, Mike announced, his hand steady on the controls. Current depth 500 feet, 1,000 feet. The minutes ticked by slowly as the drone went deeper and deeper. The water grew darker on the video feed, but the drone's lights cut through the blackness. Small fish and strange deep-sea creatures occasionally swam past the cameras. Approaching target area, Mike said. 9,500 feet, 9,800 feet, 10,000 feet. Everyone in the lab held their breath. The drone's lights illuminated something on the ocean floor, something that shouldn't be there. A massive wall rose from the seafloor, its surface smooth and covered in strange markings. That's not natural, James whispered. And it's not human-made either. Emily stared at the wall, her heart pounding. Move along it slowly, she told Mike. Let's see where it leads. The drone glided parallel to the wall. After about 50 feet, it reached a corner, a perfect 90-degree angle. As the drone turned to follow the new wall, something caught the light. A large round shape was embedded in the structure. It looked almost like a door. Mark this location, Emily ordered. And get the other drones in the water. We need to map every inch of this site. She looked at her team, seeing the same mix of excitement and disbelief on their faces that she felt herself. Ladies and gentlemen, she said quietly, I think we just made history. The next morning, Emily and her team gathered in the lab to plan their next move. The wall they had discovered yesterday still showed clearly on their screens, its perfect angles defying explanation. The second and third drones mapped more of the structure overnight, Mike said, pulling up new images. You're not going to believe what we found. The screens filled with pictures of what looked like an ancient shipwreck lying next to the wall. But something wasn't right about it. The ship's shape seemed too perfect, despite appearing old and covered in coral. That's not a real shipwreck, James said, leaning forward in his chair. Look at how it's positioned. It's too neat, too deliberate. Emily pointed to a dark spot on the ship's side. What's that opening? It looks almost like a door, Mike finished. And there's more. Watch this. He played a video from one of the drones. As the camera moved closer to the shipwreck, small lights began to flicker along its hull. They were dim at first, but grew stronger as the drone approached. It's responding to our presence, Emily whispered. This isn't a shipwreck at all. It's some kind of station. Captain Peters walked into the lab, his face serious. Dr. Roberts, we're picking up strange energy readings from the site. Whatever's down there, it's powering up. The team watched in amazement as more lights appeared on the structure. Panels that had looked like old wood shifted and moved, revealing metallic surfaces underneath. The coral covering began to fall away in chunks. Get a drone closer to that door, Emily ordered. We need to see what's inside. Mike guided their newest drone toward the opening. As it got closer, the door slowly began to open on its own. Lights spilled out from inside, illuminating the dark ocean water. Should we go in? James asked nervously. Emily nodded. We might never get another chance like this. Mike, take us in, but carefully. The drone slipped through the doorway. Inside, they found a large room filled with strange equipment. Everything was covered in a thin layer of dust, but otherwise looked perfectly preserved. Symbols lined the walls, definitely not human writing. Look at that. Mike pointed to a large screen on one wall. As they watched, it flickered to life. Strange characters appeared, then began changing into English letters. Welcome, human observers. Station reactivation sequence Einstein. Hiti. Preparing data banks for ACTSS. It's translating itself for us, James said in wonder. It knows we're here. More text appeared. Observation post at Alpha 7. Duration of dormancy, 847 Earth years. Cause of ACTIVA. Ion. Presence of ADVA and seed human technology. Emily grabbed her notebook and started writing frantically. This is impossible. This facility has been down here for over 800 years, disguised as a shipwreck, waiting for us to find it. The screen changed again. Creators DSIGNHIN. The OBs VERs. Purpose. Monitoring Earth Oceanic Development. STATUS. Ready for human interaction. Dr. Roberts, Captain Peters called from the doorway. The Navy just picked up our signal. They're sending ships to investigate. Emily barely heard him. She was too focused on the screen, where new information kept appearing. Mike, start downloading everything you can. James, help me document this room. We need to record every detail before anyone else arrives. As they worked, more systems in the station came to life. Soft lights illuminated corridors leading deeper into the structure. Strange humming sounds echoed through the water. Emily, James said suddenly, his voice shaking. Look at this. He pointed to a new message on the screen. Wo arng. Secondary alien presence DTCTD in Earth's oceans. 380 reveal. Significant. Retito memeti in the EMDDAE human notification. The team looked at each other. their excitement turning to concern. They had just discovered that Earth's oceans held not one, but two alien secrets, and one of them might be dangerous. "Send a message to the Navy ships," Emily told Captain Peters. "Tell them to hurry." 3 days had passed since the discovery of the alien station. The Ocean Explorer was now surrounded by Navy ships, but Emily's team still led the investigation. Rebecca Foster, their lead technician, hadn't slept much since she started working on the alien computer systems. "The translation program is amazing," Rebecca said, her eyes glued to her laptop screen. "It's like they knew exactly how our computers would work. Everything just fits." Emily watched as more alien text transformed into English on the main screen. They had set up a temporary office in the ship's cargo hold, filled with computers connected to the underwater station systems. "Look at this," Rebecca pointed to a new file opening on her screen. "They have records of Earth going back thousands of years. The observers were here during the Roman Empire." Mike walked in carrying fresh coffee for everyone. "Did you see the part about Atlantis?" he asked. Turns out it wasn't just a myth. It was one of their first observation posts. "That's not even the most interesting part," James added, looking up from his own computer. "According to these records, they've been guiding human development in small ways. Remember the compass? They made sure early sailors found lodestones." Emily took a sip of her coffee and started organizing their findings on the whiteboard. The aliens had been watching Earth's oceans for over 3,000 years. They looked like tall, blue-skinned beings who could breathe both air and water. "Here's something weird," Rebecca said. "They left Earth about 800 years ago because of something they called the Deep Arrival. That must be connected to that warning message we found." A Navy officer named Lieutenant Rogers entered the room. "Dr. Roberts, we're getting strange sonar readings from the south. Something big is moving down there." Emily nodded. "Pull up the deep-sea cameras. Let's see what's happening." The screen switched to live feeds from their underwater cameras. Dark shapes moved in the distance, too far away to see clearly. The water seemed to get darker around them. "I found it," Rebecca shouted suddenly. "The observers' records about the other aliens. Let me read this." Everyone gathered around her screen as she read. "Warning to future human contacts. In Earth year 1175, we detected a crashed vessel of unknown origin in the Mariana Trench. The surviving crew established a deep-sea colony. They are not hostile, but they are territorial. They view Earth's oceans as their new home and have developed technology to survive in the deepest waters. We chose to depart rather than risk conflict." "That's not all," James said from his computer. "According to this, these deep-sea aliens have been building cities underwater. They've spread through all of Earth's oceans." "The Bermuda Triangle," Mike said suddenly. "All those missing ships, you think they had something to do with it?" Rebecca nodded as she read more. "The observers think so. They say these beings collect human technology to study it. They try to avoid contact, but they don't like us getting too close to their territory." Emily looked at the dark shapes on the camera feeds again. They seemed closer now. "Lieutenant Rogers, tell your people to pull back all underwater equipment except our main cameras. We don't want to look threatening." "Dr. Roberts," Rebecca called, her voice shaking. "You need to see this last part. The observers left us weapons and shields, hidden in other underwater stations. They said we might need them someday." The lights in the cargo hold flickered. On the camera feeds, the dark shapes were definitely moving closer to their ships. Something long and metallic gleamed in the underwater lights. "Start downloading everything about those defense systems," Emily ordered. "Lieutenant, please tell the Navy ships to be ready for anything." And Rebecca, "Yes. Find out where those other stations are. Something tells me we're going to need them soon." The team worked faster as the shadows in the deep water grew larger. Humanity's first contact with aliens was about to become much more complicated. Daniel Walker, the team's security officer, paced the ship's deck as he spoke into his radio. The dark shapes in the water had vanished as quickly as they had appeared, but no one felt safe. "Double the watch," he ordered his security team. "I want to know about any unusual movement in the water, no matter how small." In the lab below, Rebecca was still going through the observer's archives. Her eyes were red from staring at screens for so long, but she couldn't stop. Not now. "I found something big," she called out to Emily and the others. "The deep-sea aliens. The observers called them the Abyssals. They've built huge cities down there. Look at these maps." The main screen filled with detailed underwater maps. Red dots marked the locations of abyssal cities spread across every major ocean. There were dozens of them. "They've been down there all this time," James said, shaking his head. "Right under our noses." Mike pointed to one of the largest red dots. "That's where those shapes we saw came from. They must have detected our drones exploring the observer station." Emily studied the maps carefully. "The Abyssals have claimed almost all the deep ocean territories. No wonder the observers left us weapons." Lieutenant Rogers rushed into the lab. "Dr. Roberts, we're getting reports from ships all over the world. They're seeing strange lights under the water, metal structures rising from the deep, then disappearing again. It's like the oceans are waking up." "They know we found the station," Rebecca said. "They know we know about them now." A new message flashed on Rebecca's screen. It was from deeper in the observer archives, marked as high priority. "Wo are ning, ADYSSAL technology, NTLUEs, ocean QURENT control, weather manipulation, seismic disruption, ADVANCETCLOAKNG SOSTEMS, extreme chaotion, ADVICD." "This is bad," Daniel said, reading over Rebecca's shoulder. "They could cause tsunamis, storms, maybe even earthquakes. We need to find those defense systems fast." Emily grabbed her tablet and pulled up a map of known shipwrecks. The observers said they hid their weapons in fake shipwrecks, just like the station we found. "We need to check all of them." "Dr. Roberts," Mike called from his station. "The observer station is sending out some kind of signal. I think it's activating the other stations." On the main screen, dots of blue light began appearing on the map, each one marking a hidden observer station. They formed a network across the oceans, connecting in straight lines. "It's a defense grid," James realized. The observers built a whole defense system around Earth, disguised as shipwrecks and ruins. They knew this day would come. Rebecca's computer beeped with another warning message. "ABYSSAL forces APPROECHANG surface level. Multiple vessels DTECTE. Defense grid activation. 15% complete. Estimate time. To fuel power. 6 hours." 6 hours, Emily said quietly. "We have 6 hours before the defense grid is ready. The Abyssals will probably try to stop it from activating." Daniel grabbed his radio. "I'll alert all ships. We need to protect those stations until the grid powers up." "Wait," Rebecca called out. "There's more. The observers left instructions for humans. They say we need to prove ourselves worthy of their help. We have to show we can handle this technology responsibly." "How do we do that?" Lieutenant Rogers asked. Emily looked at the approaching darkness in the ocean around them. "We try to talk first," she said firmly. "We show them we're not their enemies. The observers want to see if we'll use their weapons wisely." "And if talking doesn't work?" Daniel asked. Emily's face hardened. "Then we show them why you don't threaten humanity's oceans. Ready the ships, Lieutenant. One way or another, this ends today." Tom Carter, the marine biologist, stood at the ship's rail with his camera ready. The ocean had turned an unnatural dark blue, and large bubbles rose to the surface. The defense grid was only at 40% power, and 3 hours had passed. "Movement at 3 o'clock," someone shouted. Everyone turned to look. A massive shape broke through the waves. It looked like a submarine but was shaped more like a whale. Its surface was covered in lights that pulsed with a soft green glow. As they watched, more vessels surfaced around them. "They're surrounding us," Daniel said, counting the vessels. "I see at least 12 of them." Emily grabbed the ship's radio. "Unknown vessels, this is Dr. Emily Roberts of the research ship Ocean Explorer. We wish to talk peacefully." For a long moment, there was only silence. Then a deep, echoing voice came through their speakers. It sounded like it was being filtered through water. "We have watched your progress," the voice said. "You have found the observer station. This cannot be allowed." Tom's camera clicked rapidly as he took pictures. The alien ships were amazing. They seemed to be made of living metal that moved and shifted like sea creatures. "We mean no harm," Emily responded. "We only want to learn and understand." "Your kind always says this," the voice replied. "But you take and destroy. Look what you have done to the shallow waters, to the reefs, to the sea life." Rebecca ran up from below deck. "Emily, I found something in the archives. The Abyssals, their homeworld was dying when they crashed here. They're scared we'll do the same to Earth's oceans." Emily grabbed the radio again. "We understand your fears," she said. "Your world was dying when you came here, but we can work together to protect the oceans. We want to save them too." The alien ships moved closer. One of them opened, revealing a large glass window. Behind it stood a tall figure. It looked almost human, but its skin was pale blue and covered in patterns that glowed like deep-sea creatures. "You have caused much damage," the alien said. "And now you have found weapons that could destroy our cities. We don't want to use them," Emily replied. "The observers left them as a last resort. We would rather talk." Tom stepped forward, holding up his research tablet. "Look at this," he said, showing graphs and pictures. "These are projects we're working on to clean the oceans, to restore coral reefs, to stop pollution. We're trying to fix our mistakes." The aliens studied the images. More of its kind appeared in the windows of the other ships. They looked interested. "Even now," Tom continued, "there are humans working to save whales, to clean up plastic, to protect sea life. We're learning to be better." Daniel touched Emily's arm and pointed to the radar screen. More alien ships were rising from the deep, but these were different. They were smaller and carried what looked like cleaning equipment. "Those are their maintenance ships," Rebecca whispered, checking the observer archives. "They use them to keep the oceans clean in the deep zones." Emily had an idea. "We could help each other," she said to the aliens. "You know the deep ocean better than anyone. Together, we could protect all the waters of Earth, from the surface to the deepest trenches." The main alien ship moved closer. Its window opened, creating an air pocket. The alien leader looked directly at them with large, dark eyes. "Perhaps," it said slowly, "we should talk more about this idea. But know this, if you try to use those weapons against us, we will not hesitate to defend ourselves." Emily nodded. "The same goes for us. But I think we can find a better way." As the sun set over the ocean, humans and aliens began their first real conversation. The fate of Earth's oceans hung on what would happen next. Commander Laura Mitchell arrived by helicopter the next morning. She landed on the deck of the Ocean Explorer just as another alien ship surfaced nearby. The talks had gone well through the night, but some abyssal groups weren't happy about working with humans. 3 fishing boats disappeared near Alaska, she said as soon as she met with Emily's team. "And there's trouble in the South Pacific. Some of the abyssals are attacking cargo ships." Emily looked at the map on the main screen. Red dots showed where ships had reported problems. "They're not all following their leader's orders," she said. "Some of them want to fight." "Then we'll show them we can fight back," Commander Mitchell replied. She turned to Rebecca. "How's that defense grid coming along?" Rebecca checked her computer. 70% charge. "But there's something else. The observer station is teaching us how to use their technology. Look at this." She pressed a button, and a 3D image appeared above the table. It showed a new kind of ship, part submarine, part surface vessel. The design mixed human and observer technology. "We can build these," Rebecca said excitedly. "The observers left us everything we need. They're faster than anything we have now, and they can go as deep as the abyssal ships." A loud alarm started ringing. Daniel ran into the room. "We've got trouble. Abyssal attack ships heading toward Los Angeles. They're going to hit the port." Commander Mitchell grabbed her phone. "This is what we trained for. All ships, battle stations, get our subs in the water." The next few hours were chaos. Reports came in from all over the world. Friendly abyssal ships fought against their angry brothers. Human ships and submarines joined in, protecting ports and shipping lanes. "They're using the currents as weapons," Tom reported, watching the ocean patterns. "Creating whirlpools, massive waves." "But we can do something about that now," Emily said. She turned to Commander Mitchell. "The observer station showed us how to control currents too. We just need to get closer." The commander nodded. "Take us in. All ships, protect the Ocean Explorer. We need to get Dr. Roberts' team within range of those abyssal ships." The Ocean Explorer moved forward, waves crashing against its sides. Rebecca worked at her station, typing commands into the observer systems. James and Mike helped her, while Tom kept watching the water patterns. "Ready," Rebecca shouted. Activating current control. Now, the ocean around them suddenly went calm. The abyssal ship's whirlpools disappeared. Their waves flattened out. "It's working," James yelled. "They can't control the water anymore." The angry abyssals tried to dive deep, but more friendly ships rose up to meet them. The peaceful abyssals had brought their own weapons, nets made of strange, glowing material that could trap even the largest ships. Commander Mitchell watched with pride as human and friendly abyssal ships worked together. "Send this message to all ships," she ordered. "The oceans belong to all of us. We can share them, or we can fight for them. But humanity will not back down." The battle lasted another hour. In the end, the angry abyssals surrendered. Their ships floated quietly on the surface, surrounded by both human and peaceful abyssal vessels. "Look," Tom said softly, pointing to his screen. All around the world, abyssal ships were surfacing, not to fight, but to talk. They had seen what humans could do, not just fight, but work together with others for peace. Emily smiled as she watched the radar screen fill with green dots of friendly ships. "The observers were right," she said. "They wanted to see if we could handle their technology wisely. I think we just passed their test." Commander Mitchell nodded. "Now the real work begins. We have a lot to learn from each other." As the sun rose higher, humans and abyssals started working together to clean up the damage from the battle. It was just the first step in their new partnership to protect Earth's oceans. 1 week after the battle, the Ocean Explorer floated above one of the largest abyssal cities. Jennifer Phillips, the systems engineer, worked with Rebecca to connect their computers to the abyssal network. Through the ship's windows, they could see the amazing sight of the underwater city's glowing towers. "Their technology is beautiful," Jennifer said, watching data flow across her screen. "They don't just use the ocean. They work with it. Their whole city moves with the currents." Emily stood nearby, talking with the abyssal leader they now knew as Deep Speaker. He had chosen to stay on the surface ship to help build trust between their peoples. "Your cleaning ships are amazing," Emily told him. "We've never seen anything that can remove pollution so quickly." Deep Speaker's skin patterns glowed with pleased colors. "And your surface ships can reach places we cannot. Together, we can heal the damage to these waters." Rebecca called them over to her screen. "Look at this. When we combine the observer's defense grid with abyssal power systems, we can create a shield around the whole ocean. It would stop pollution from spreading, clean the water automatically, and even help protect sea life." Jennifer nodded excitedly. "I've been working with their engineers. We can build stations that float on the surface and connect to their deep cities. Humans and abyssals could work side by side. A group of dolphins swam past the ship, playing with what looked like a small abyssal patrol vessel. The sea creatures seemed to love the gentle lights and sounds from the alien ships. The animals trust them, Tom said, watching the dolphins. They've been protecting ocean life all this time, in their own way. Commander Mitchell walked onto the bridge with good news. The world's governments have agreed. We're creating a new organization, the Ocean Alliance. Both humans and abyssals will run it together. Deep Speaker's patterns shifted to show happiness. My people have also voted. We will share our cities with human workers and scientists. You can help us build new ones closer to the surface. Jennifer pulled up designs on the main screen. They showed amazing structures that would connect the surface world to the deep abyssal cities. Underwater trains would carry people safely to and from the ocean floor. Phase 1 starts next month, she explained. We'll build 3 stations, one near Hawaii, one in the Mediterranean, and one off the coast of Australia. Each one will have both human and abyssal crews. Emily looked at the designs with wonder. What about the observer stations? Are we still activating them? Yes, Rebecca answered. But not as weapons. We're turning them into research centers. The abyssals are helping us understand how they work. Deep Speaker touched a control panel, and a 3D map appeared. It showed Earth's oceans cleaned of pollution, with new cities shining in the deep. This is what we can build together, he said. A better ocean for all. Suddenly, Tom called out from his station. Everyone, come look. The whales are back. They rushed to the windows. A pod of huge whales swam slowly past the ship. They were singing, and to everyone's surprise, the abyssal ships were singing back. The sounds mixed together in a beautiful way. They're talking to each other, Tom said in amazement. The abyssals learned their language long ago. Now they can help us understand sea creatures better than ever before. Emily watched as more sea life gathered around them. The ocean seemed more alive than ever. We did it, she said quietly. We proved the observers right. We showed we could handle their gift wisely. Deep Speaker's patterns glowed brightly. This is just the beginning, he said. Together, we will explore and protect the oceans in ways neither of us could do alone. As night fell, the ship's lights mixed with the glow from the underwater city below. Humans and abyssals worked together on the bridge, planning their shared future. The age of ocean exploration had begun again, but this time, with incredible new friends to help guide the way. 1 year had passed since the first contact with the abyssals. The Ocean Explorer, now upgraded with both observer and abyssal technology, moved smoothly through the waters of the Pacific. Emily stood on the new observation deck, watching fish swim through the crystal-clear water around them. Ship approaching, Mike called from his station. It's the Deep Voyager. Emily smiled as she watched the joint human-abyssal vessel rise from the depths. It was beautiful, sleek, and powerful, with both human and abyssal design elements. Commander Mitchell had chosen it as her flagship for the new ocean protection fleet. They're right on time, Emily said. Is everyone ready for the ceremony? Today was special. They were opening the first permanent human settlement in an abyssal city. Deep Speaker had chosen his own city to host it, as a sign of trust between their peoples. The Deep Voyager pulled alongside the Ocean Explorer. Commander Mitchell stood on its deck with several abyssal officers. Their glowing patterns showed excitement and pride. The transport is ready, Jennifer announced. She had designed the underwater train that would carry the first human residents to their new home. All systems are working perfectly. Tom rushed onto the deck with his tablet. You need to see this, he said excitedly. The coral reefs we replanted using abyssal methods. They're growing 10 times faster than normal. The fish populations are exploding. Rebecca joined them, carrying the latest reports. The observer defense grid is working better than ever. Water pollution is down 60% worldwide. The abyssal cleaning ships are even finding plastic waste we didn't know was there. Dangle walked up, looking relaxed for the first time in months. Security report. Not a single incident between human and abyssal ships in the past 3 months. The joint patrols are working perfectly. James appeared with more good news. The Deep Sea Research Station is online. We're learning more about ocean life than ever before. The abyssals are teaching us things about whales and dolphins that we never knew. A soft humming filled the air as the underwater transport arrived. It looked like a silver bullet made of living metal, comfortable for both humans and abyssals. The first group of human settlers, scientists, engineers, and their families, gathered on the deck. Deep Speaker emerged from the transport, his patterns glowing with warm colors. "Are your people ready?" he asked Emily. "Living in the deep will be very different for them." Emily nodded. "They've trained for months. Everyone's excited to be part of history." The settlers began boarding the transport. Children pressed their faces against the windows, amazed by the shimmering walls that adjusted to keep them comfortable. Abyssal children, looking like smaller versions of their parents, waved at them from another chamber. "The observers would be proud," Commander Mitchell said, watching the boarding. "We didn't just prove we could handle their technology. We built something better than they imagined." Rebecca checked her instruments one last time. "The city's ready to receive them. The living quarters are perfect for human needs, and the pressure systems are all working." The transport hummed again, preparing to dive. Emily looked at her team, the people who had helped make all this possible. Mike, Rebecca, James, Tom, Jennifer, Daniel, and Commander Mitchell. They had faced the unknown and built a bridge between two worlds. "1 year ago, we thought we found a lost city," Emily said. "Instead, we found new friends and a new future for humanity." Deep Speaker's patterns rippled with agreement. "And this is just the beginning. There are more mysteries in Earth's oceans. We will explore them together." The transport began its descent, carrying the first human residents to their new home beneath the waves. Above and below the surface, human and abyssal ships patrolled together, protecting their shared waters. The future they had built was more amazing than any lost city from legend. Emily watched the transport disappear into the deep blue water. Somewhere down there, the observer's old station was still working, its mission complete. Humanity had proven itself ready for a bigger universe, starting right here in Earth's own oceans.